I'm gonna bet a lot of you all are like me. I bet you think about stand or blind placement year round. Breaking the Super Bowl, 4th of July picnic, when you're crappie fishing in the spring, I know I do. Deer hunting's a big, big thing to me, and fresh venison for the family is a big thing. Here we are, and I'm already thinking about how I can make this situation better. Still a hidey old food plot, and we used to have a redneck ghillie blind where that trailer blind is, but later on I cut all the cedars from behind. You see all the dead trees and stuff back there. Cut all the cedars, ran a pretty hot prescribed fire through there with the goal of creating a bedding nesting area. So now I've got this great bedding area that I got right next to a hidey old food plot, and there's a string of chinkapin oaks that run right on this upper side of that plot, so it's a natural travel corridor because we know deer are edge species. They like traveling edge between different habitat types. But the trailer blind allowed me to utilize all of that much better than the ground blind or the ghillie blind. I'm up higher, so now I can see into that cutover area. It's where we cut all the cedars again and then use prescribed fire. I'm up higher so I could shoot through this vegetation a bit better with a bow, and I'll have this down and plan a fall plot for this. And I'm up where I can see deer coming along that travel corridor along the edge of those chinkapin oaks and the cutover. So I love using trailer blinds so I can move it there, try it a year or two, see if I have it exactly where I want it, maybe move it one way or the other, and then should I choose, I can put a 10-foot base and put a regular redneck blind there. But thinking through everything, and a good hunting spot to me is one I can approach, hunt, and exit without alerting deer. In this case, a really easy strategy. When someone's going on past this hunt, just drop the hunter off right at the base of that blind. 2 steps and you're in, almost no scent. If you got a swirling wind, not a strong wind, unless it's too hot, you can leave those windows shut and you're not letting much scent escape. Of course, some scent's escaping because if it was airtight, you'd breathe up all the oxygen, you'd die before your buddy got back. So a little bit of scent, but it's not open like in a ground blind where if the wind goes this way and this way and this way, your scent just covers the whole area. And I think that's been a huge advantage. I like hunting out of a tree stand, but I'm gonna see and harvest more deer out of a blind that has really good windows and gaskets like the redneck because I'm not alerting deer with my scent. Y'all know we hunt in the Ozark Mountains. It's very steep, it's not flat, and those thermals are very active here, so our scent disperses much more than flat Iowa or flat Kansas or coastal plain, because as it's just warming up in the morning prime time, we're going between shadows in the oaks and sun's hitting this open food plot. We got warm air and cold air, and that just makes it swirl. And the same as when the sun is setting. Cold air sinks as the temperature starts cooling off, it sinks, but this food plot's gonna stay warmer, open, longer. That bedding area is open, not much canopy. It's gonna stay warmer, longer. The closed canopy timber is gonna cool off. All that makes that wind swirl like in a blender. Standing in blind really helps us. So this is just an example of a great setup. On this one, we can approach, hunt, and exit with almost no disturbance to the deer. We're on our property so frequently that hearing the tractor go down the road doesn't alert deer at all. We have a good food source. We have great acorns. Most of our property's timbered. There can be acorns everywhere on a good acorn crop year. But acorns on a travel corridor are way better than 1 out of 1,000 trees on an oak flat or the ridgetop of oaks. And then having a bedding area, well, that's ideal. We can get really close, step out a buggy, get in a blind without alerting deer. Remember, everything's backwards. When it's dinner time for us, deer been resting all day like they're working a night shift, and they're getting up, getting ready to go work, go eat, go recreate. So deer getting up and they're going to feed. So deer bedded there, gonna come this little hidey old food plot or those acorns first. They're hungry as soon as they get out of bed like I am. And then in the morning, well, that's like someone, a fireman or someone worked all night long. Supper time for them, they want to eat and go to bed. They're going back to that bedding area. That bedding area wasn't there. We created that. So don't just think of your property, oh, I got a weekend off, I'm going to go do something. Have a long-term plan. Where am I creating food? Planted or natural? I'm thinning the canopy. I'm getting more sun to the ground. I'm using fire. How can I approach, hunt, and exit out of stands and where is bedding area, where are deer likely to travel to. And something really important that's not talked about a lot, make those bedding areas on a slope where deer are very comfortable and 75 or 100 yards away from where we have a high-to food plot, a pond, whatever our point is, our pinch point that gets deer within range. The reason that is, they can get out of that bedding area in the afternoon and get in front of our standing blind while it's still shooting light. The opposite, which isn't quite as easy to understand, is true in the morning. Deer have been moving while it's dark, obviously that's not legal shooting light, and they're headed towards that bedding area. And the closer that pinch point is, you have a better chance of intercepting them during daylight, because the closer you get them to the bedding area, it's getting lighter and lighter in the morning, and you can see them during legal shooting light, versus if that pinch point's a half mile away, they may have already passed by and are on the way to that bedroom to go to sleep, and they passed that stand while it was dark and morning. That's more sloping back there, it's steeper, and I like deer bedded on a slope because I can't hunt there very effectively because the wind's much more likely to swirl. The steeper the slope, the more aggressive thermals are. But deer love bedding, so I can use those steep areas that aren't that huntable to provide high quality bedding and encourage deer to stay on my property versus the neighbor's property. That sounds so selfish, but in reality, I'm gonna bet 99.9% of us have that same attitude, even if you don't vocalize it. I sure hope that deer's on my property versus my neighbor's. Now, we're blessed with 900 acres and neighbors harvest deer that we've had our motories taking pictures of for sometimes years at a time. And deer home range overlaps our property, we know that, and they harvested deer in fair chase. I'm happy to celebrate with them. You're not going to keep deer on your property unless you got a huge property. Before we sold part of our land, we had 2,500 acres, and even with that, every year, neighbors would tag some bucks we'd been waiting on. But we also pick up bucks that we didn't see all summer. We call those bonus bucks that come in during the rut. They're going to use a portion of their home range that they haven't used during most of the year during the rut, and that happened to be on our place. Look at that, guys. I hope these thoughts have really helped you think about blind or stand placement, not just at random. A couple takeaways: the more attractions you have in the area, more likely deer are going to use that location. How are they going to use it? How's the thermals or wind play? And how can you approach, hunt, and exit without alerting deer? Any time of year, this is good food for thought. You may need to tweak it for your hunting location and what resources on the property where you hunt. I hope this has really helped you. And as always, if you found something you liked or it helped you, do us a favor. Share this link with one of your buddies. We don't advertise, all our growth is organic. And if you really liked it, buy a hat or t-shirt. That keeps us busy and puts a little jing in our pocket so we can keep making more videos. Most importantly, over all of that, my hope for you is that you take time daily, slow down, and be very intentional about seeking the Creator. He's there. He just wants you to seek Him and apply His will to your life. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.